Hello friends watching live or checking this video out later. My name is Jenny, doing a Stiff Bodies class. Grab any props you want to practice with and meet me on your mat. All right. Welcome friends. This is awesome. So welcome. This is a Stiff Bodies class, and just to orient us with time, we'll start with a nice grounding meditation, and then get into some mindful movement, settle into a nice long shavasana. That'll be our 75 minutes together. I like to try to make yoga as approachable as possible and make the physical practice accessible. So I will give lots of different options for you to explore. We've got lots of props that you can use. If at any point you want to grab one or raise your hand, I'll grab one for you. But really center your needs first. So listen to your body, find what feels good, even if it's the exact opposite of what I'm suggesting. I'm happy to hold space for you to take a nap or run around the room, whatever it is that you're needing in this moment. So yeah, any requests for class? Hips. Anything else? Hips and shoulders, the usual suspects. All right, good stuff. So let's get started. Find a comfortable seated position. If you want to sit up on a prop, legs could be crossed, they could extend. You could plant the feet on the ground with the knees bent. And know that even as we invite stillness into the body in our meditation or any shape that we get into in our practice, we're never locked in. So we don't have to stay in a certain shape. We can always shift and adjust to find what feels best in that moment. So allowing yourself to settle in. Feel the ground beneath you. Perhaps finding a connection to Mother Earth, to the earth element, or just a sense of grounding towards the earth beneath you. And starting to track the body, noticing how you're feeling and where you're feeling it. You're welcome to soften the gaze or close the eyes if that feels safe, just to start to direct the energy inward. Let your awareness start to travel to your internal environment. And as we connect to our physical body, holding space for any injuries or ailments, any aches or pains, any stiffness or soreness. Inviting the body to show up as it is. Striving to not bring in any judgment or comparison, which can be challenging, especially when we start making awkward shapes that are very different than our everyday range of motion. But in each pose, each shape we take, finding the wise effort within that. Whether that's doing more or doing less or doing something completely different. Staying connected to the physical body, allow your awareness to start to check in with the emotional body. Honoring any emotions that you're carrying with you or that arise for you through your practice. Knowing that all emotions are simply energy moving through us, life moving through us. And it's part of our nature to feel. Emotions are there to enrich our experiences, to give us opportunities of growth and learning and evolving. And even the emotions that we deem negative can have value. We do live in a society that tries to send us messages, or doesn't try, very successfully sends us messages to disconnect from our feelings. That women are overly emotional and that men shouldn't feel emotions at all. And this goes against the very nature of being human. So letting whatever feelings arise be a part of your experience, perhaps getting curious about them. Allowing awareness to spread to your mind body. Holding space for thoughts that you're carrying with you, the stories that we tell ourselves. Our habitual thought patterns, our knee-jerk reactions, even our implicit biases and social conditionings. And our mindful practices aren't trying to change anything. We're not trying to ignore or only focus on the positive. We're simply holding space for what is and getting curious. So as thoughts arise throughout our practice, see if you can create a little space between your thoughts and your reactions to those thoughts. Working to be a container for our experience without getting contained or caught up in our thoughts and our emotions. And allowing your awareness to spread to a more subtle body, the energetic body. We've all had experiences with this body, whether we recognize it or not, when we have a gut feeling about something, or when we meet someone whose energy is just off, or we walk into a room and we can tell bad news was just shared. We each have our own unique energetic vibration. And there's energy constantly moving through us. So we've got these first 4 bodies, or koshas, as they're known in yogic philosophy. The physical body, the emotional body, the mind body, and the energetic body. And these 4 bodies, these 4 koshas, are constantly changing, constantly in flux. They're influenced by our external environment, influenced by people around us, by the way we were raised, by the influences. And these 4 bodies can easily be distorted, or at least our perception of them. So our mindful practices are designed to help us navigate these changes, to help us get curious about the influences on these bodies, and to help us remember and reconnect to the 5th kosha, our bliss body. This is the part of us that does not change. The part of us that can observe the other four bodies, that can step back and witness our experiences. This is the part of us that comes from Source, Spirit, the universe, God of your own understanding, whatever it is that you put your faith in. This bliss body is a part of that, and not a fraction of it. A whole part in and of itself. This is the part of us that is perfect as it is. Which is why we're not trying to change or fix anything. We're simply trying to reconnect to that part of us that helps to inform our purpose, that helps to remind us who we are, the strength that we possess, the uniqueness of our energetic vibration. So inviting all 5 koshas to settle in, to integrate into this space as they are, knowing that there will be shifts and changes even in our time together here. Beginning to find a deeper connection to your breath. Perhaps it's simply tuning into the breath and being aware of the ebb and flow, the rise and fall. You're also welcome to invite in a deepening of the breath, a lengthening of the breath, or even turning up the volume on the breath with ujjayi breathing, activating the muscles in the back of the throat, like you're fogging up a window or a mirror. And with the connection to all 5 koshas, with the connection to the breath, we'll begin to find movement. Feeling down once again into the sits bones, finding a solid foundation in the legs and the hips to lengthen up through the crown of the head, maybe sitting just a little bit taller. Releasing the arms alongside the body. And as you feel ready, we'll take an inhale to reach the arms out and start to send them up towards the sky, just as high as feels okay. Lengthening through the side body, lengthening through the spine. On an exhale, bend the elbows, bring them into goal pose. Spread out through the hands, arms parallel to the ground. Inhale, draw the elbows back, shoulder blades draw together, gaze could lift, making a little arch in the back. And exhale, round out as you bring the fingers, forearms, elbows together, tucking the chin in towards the chest. And repeating here, inhaling to open through the arms, shoulder blades draw together, gaze could lift. Exhale, draw the arms in, round out through the spine, tuck in through the chin. Let's take one more like that. Inhale to open. And exhale to round out. Awesome work. We'll come back to a neutral spine, opening the arms to goal pose, and then we'll extend the arms out, flipping the palms down, and thumbs pointing down towards the earth. Awesome work. Then we'll just start to flip the palms back up. And we'll just repeat here. So finding some rotation through the shoulders. So the palm's gonna end up facing the sky, just with either internal or external rotation. And working with whatever range of motion feels good here. Arms could be straight but not locked out. You could also soften through the elbows. if that feels better, especially in the neck and shoulders. And then maybe just for some fun, alternate the hands. So turning one palm up, or I guess externally rotating, internally rotating the other. You can continue moving them simultaneously, or a little challenge for the brain, moving in different directions. Awesome work. When you feel ready, we'll bring the hands towards heart center. And we'll lift the elbows up. So we're getting a little stretch in the wrists. Press the hands together. Fingertips or fingers could come together, or they could spread out if you want to get a little stretch in the hands. Lengthening through the crown of the head on an inhale. On an exhale, we'll take the gaze over towards the right shoulder and the fingers shift over towards the left. And then inhale to come back through center. And exhale, take it to the other side. So getting some movement through the neck, some activation through the wrists. We'll repeat here. Maybe a stretch in the forearms. Noticing where else you feel the stretch. As you feel ready, coming back towards neutral. We'll take a nice inhale to lengthen. On an exhale, we'll just start to turn the fingers down towards the ground, finding a little rotation here. And then bring the hands back up. So just finding a little more movement through the wrists, through the forearms. Maybe feeling some activation in the biceps, triceps, chest. Awesome work. When you're ready, releasing the hands, maybe shaking them out or rolling out through the wrists if that would feel good here. And then we'll start to uncross through the legs. Set up some windshield wipers just to get a little movement here. If you need to shake out through the legs, get a little circulation going, feel free. We'll plant the feet a little wider than hip distance. Hands could come back behind you for support. And we'll just tick-tock the knees side to side. Your choice of sits bone, or if the sits bones stay grounded, it'll give you a little less range of motion, but different sensation. Or you could bring in a little twisting by lifting the opposite sits bone as the direction that the knees are shifting. So if the knees shift to the right, you could lift the left sits bone and vice versa. This can also sometimes give you a little booty massage. You're welcome to feel into that. Just a few more rounds here, just finding a little mobility, a little release through the hips and low back. Connecting with your breath. When you're ready, bringing the knees back up towards center, walking the feet together. We'll start with a very gentle forward fold. So we'll start with the knees nice and bent, bringing the chest forward and releasing the chest down towards the thighs. Hands could release down towards the ground, or they could wrap underneath the legs for a little hug. You could also release the head down towards the legs or knees. So finding lengthening in the spine, starting to find a release through the low back, hopefully release through the neck and shoulders. You're welcome to stay here in the sweetness, maybe giving yourself a little hug. If going deeper would be the wise effort here, then you're welcome to start to walk the feet forward. If you want to find a deeper forward fold. Finding what feels good. Knowing that we don't have to always give 110%. Sometimes 10% is the perfect amount. And when you feel ready, you can release the hands if they were holding on. Start to walk your way back up, and we'll come into a tabletop position. So starting to set up hands and knees. You can double up on the mat, or I like to kneel on a blanket just to give my knees a little extra cushion. Take your time to set this up. Find a good positioning for the hands. It could be wrists underneath the shoulders, but that can also be really extreme on the wrists. So if it feels better to walk the hands forward or back, they could be wide or narrow. You could dial hands in or out or in opposite directions. Alignment's gonna look different for everyone. And then before we get into anything formal, let's just find some intuitive movement here. So maybe closing the eyes to get out of the head and into the body, and then moving in any way that feels good. You could shift back and forth between a child's pose and a gentle upward dog. You could circle through the hips. You could take some spinal flexion through cat-cow, anything that would feel good here. No wrong way to do this, as long as you're not inviting in any harm or injury into your physical, mental, or emotional bodies. As long as there's no harm here, you're doing it right. Awesome work. We'll take about 3 to 5 more rounds of breath in this exploration. And whenever you feel complete there, we'll settle into a child's pose for a few rounds of breath. And I'll be guiding us through a little bit of a flow to invite a little more heat and fluidity into the body, inviting some fire and water elements. So we'll start with the most gentle option and kind of add on from there. And view this as kind of like different bus stops. You know, we're all on this yoga journey, but we all have different destinations, different places we're trying to get to. And the yoga bus has many different stops. So just find whatever stop works best for the journey you're on tonight, right now. So as you feel ready, from our child's pose, we'll inhale to come back up through our tabletop. The hands may walk a little further forward so that we can shift forward into kind of a modified push-up position. Now here you're welcome to find a little bend in the elbows and press back up, and then sink the hips back to child's pose. So this is where we'll start, just to repeat here. Inhaling, coming up through our tabletop. Hips can come forward. Exhaling to find a little push-up. You can bend the elbows a little or a lot, just not coming past 90 degrees. Inhale to press back up, and exhale to child's pose. Awesome work. So again, choosing whatever level of activation you'd like to take. You could even skip the push-up. Awesome work. From here, we'll add on if you'd like. So as you feel ready, we'll inhale to come up. Shifting forward, exhale to take our little push-up if you'd like. And then as we come back up through a tabletop, this time we'll prop the toes, send the hips back, and start to lift the knees up as the hips come up towards a downward dog.
And then slowly start to lower the knees back down through our tabletop and send the hips back to child's pose. So inhaling up to tabletop, taking your little push-up if you'd like, and then sending the hips back and up as we come into downward dog. Rebending in the knees, lowering back down to tabletop and a child's pose. Awesome work. We'll take one more round at your own pace, following your breath to whatever level of engagement feels best for you. I lied, 1.5 more rounds because we're going to meet back up in our downward dog. And if tabletop feels better than downward dog, you're welcome to always take that. If you're in down dog, taking a few rounds of breath here as the heels root down towards the ground. Awesome work. When you're ready, we'll start to come towards a forward fold. So the feet could walk forward, hands could walk back, or a combination of the two. You can bend the knees as much as you'd like. And releasing down, hands could come towards the ground or towards blocks. We'll inhale to a half lift. So find the length in the spine. Hands could come to the shins or to the thighs. Lengthening through the crown of the head, out through the tailbone. And as you feel ready, releasing down towards your forward fold, releasing the head, neck, and shoulders. You can bend the knees deeply and bring the chest towards the thighs, kind of like our gentle forward fold. Again, you could bring the hands to ground or to blocks. And again, you don't have to come to 100%. You don't have to fold completely in half. Find what feels best here. Rooting down towards the feet, find the solid connection here. If you need to adjust the stance or the positioning of the feet, feel free. And then nice and slow, we'll start to roll up ragdoll style. So arms could dangle, they could walk up the legs for support. Keeping a soft bend in the knees and a tuck through the tailbone, we'll roll up one vertebrae at a time, taking it nice and slow. Head stacks very last, and when you get to the top, find a rolling out through the shoulders. They could roll together or in opposite directions. And then as you feel ready, just go ahead and shake it out. Shake out through the legs, through the arms, through the hips, through the shoulders. Just let it go. And then we'll come back to our mountain pose. So find that solid stance in the feet. Readjust in any way, maybe moving forward and back, side to side to find some centering. A soft bend in the knees. Palms could be down alongside the body. Hands could face forward, or you could take an extended mountain, reaching the arms up towards the sky. However you want to express your mountain today. Perhaps inviting in any elements of a mountain or any characteristics that are speaking to you in this moment. Strong, sturdy, powerful, mysterious, playful. Awesome work. As you feel ready, we'll bring the hands together at the heart, and then we'll rotate so that the right thumb is up, left thumb is down, and then kind of curl the fingers in on themselves. We'll reach the arms up towards the sky, and then rebend in the arms, bringing the hands behind the head. Awesome work. Nice deep inhale. And on an exhale, drop the right shoulder down towards the right side, keeping the body straight. So we're kind of drawing the left elbow behind the head. Notice if the forearm is pressing the head forward and creating tension in the neck, maybe you can counter that by pressing the head back into the forearm. Finding a nice deep stretch here, connect to your breath. From the support of the core, if it would feel okay, maybe you start to find a side bend. So maybe you come a little deeper if that feels okay. Staying connected down towards the legs. Notice if you locked out into the knees. Connect to the breath. With engagement in the obliques, inhale, come back up through center. Re-extend through the arms. Bring the hands back down in front of us and switch up the grasp. There we go. So flipping the thumbs to the opposite direction, interlacing through the hands, reaching the arms up and bringing them behind the head. And without changing the body, just at first dropping the left elbow down, drawing the right forearm behind the head. Find your breath, soften in the knees. Check in with the neck, make sure we're not cranking the neck forward. And if it would feel good, finding that bend in the side body, opening and lengthening a little more through the right side body. Awesome work. With that strength in the obliques, come back up through center, reach the arms up towards the sky. Awesome work. And on an exhale, release the hands. We'll start to dive it forward, hinging at the hips, bending in the knees, coming back towards our forward fold. From here, we'll start to shift more weight into the right foot so we can step the left leg behind us. Your choice if the feet kind of stay in line with each other or if they cross. Your choice how far that foot reaches over. And then you could stay folded forward through the center, or you could start to walk the hands over towards the right, and the hips could shift more out towards the left, really getting into that outer edge of the leg. Find your breath here. Hands can come to the ground, to blocks, they could come to the legs. When you're ready, if you're off to the side, bringing the upper body back towards center, re-stepping the feet back towards neutral, shifting more weight into the left foot and switching it out, stepping the right foot behind the left. Your choice of the placement of the foot here. You could stay again bowed forward towards center, walking the hands over towards the left, shifting the hips towards the right. Beautiful breathing, coming back towards center, uncrossing through the legs, reestablishing your solid connection down towards the feet. We'll take an inhale to another half lift, find that length in the spine, little reset here. Gaze is towards the ground, so there's a nice neutral neck. You can engage in the core here to build a little more core strength. You could also activate the muscles along the spine. When you're ready, on an exhale, release down towards your forward fold. Bend the knees as much as you'd like to plant the hands. Coming back to downward dog. So feet walk back, hands walk forward, however you'd like to get to down dog. And you always have tabletop as an option. When you're ready, we're gonna set up a lunge with the right foot forward. So your choice how you get there. Right leg could extend up, finding a three-legged dog, and then stepping the foot in. You could release the left knee down, and maybe use the hand to physically bring the foot forward. We're coming into a low lunge. Left foot forward, right foot forward, right knee bent. You can bring in blocks to bring the ground closer here and feel into this. Maybe a little forward and backward movement, getting into the left hip flexor, right hamstring. Still finding length in the spine. And when you're ready, we'll start to straighten through the front leg, walking the hands back, pointing the right toes up. Your choice if you stay bowed forward or if it would feel better to raise the upper body up. You could play with the sensation in the leg by pointing and flexing through the toes. You could dial the toes in and out, playing with that internal and external rotation. Take it nice and slow. Find your breath. If you'd like, bringing the left hand over towards the right side of the body, finding a little side bend and switching up the sensation in the leg. And you can find stillness or find some movement through the foot, through the toes. As you feel ready, if you were crossed over, bringing the left hand back towards the left. And then we'll start to bring the right hand over towards the left, and we'll start to pivot. So we're gonna kickstand the left toes back as we drop the right foot down towards the ground and start to turn to face the left side of our mat. Here again, you can bring in blocks, or you can use the ground. You could stay higher up, or you could start to bow forward. Hands could walk forward. You could lower down to the forearms. So kind of looking at this like a extended leg child's pose or puppy pose. So your choice if the hips stay raised or if you send the hips back. You could also bring in some core strengthening by hovering the chest and extending the arms out into a T. So in your choice, how much softness or strength you decide to bring in here. Connecting to your breath. Fantastic work. As you feel ready, raising back up if you're bowed forward. And we'll start to make our way back towards our lunge. So starting to walk the hands forward. The right toes will turn forward. Awesome work. Your choice here in this lunge, if you want to keep the back knee down or lift the back knee up and do a high lunge. And then from the strength in the core, we'll start to unweight through the hands. Hands could come up towards the knee if that feels good, or the hands could start to reach forward. We've got a nice long spine to start, chest hovering over the thigh. You're welcome to stay here, or if working with a little back bending would feel good, you could start to bring the heart forward, gaze could lift. Your choice if you want to shift the hips forward or back. So yeah, that back knee could be down or could be raised. Awesome work. From here, if it would feel good, reaching the arms up towards the sky, interlacing through the hands, and then bringing the hands back behind the head. Nice work. Playing with balance, and this is playtime. If it would feel good here, maybe starting to arch over towards the right, finding a little more deeper side stretch. Hands could stay where they are, or if it feels okay, maybe they start to extend. They don't need to straighten all the way. Whew, playing with that balance. Awesome work. As you feel ready, coming back up through center if you were bowed down, releasing the arms up towards the sky, and folding forward, framing the foot, pull the foot back through plank. You could lower the knees to half plank. You could take a tabletop. And then we'll make our way into a downward dog. If you'd like to transition with some sort of push-up to back bend, you could take our little push-up to cat-cow. You could take belly to cobra. You could take chaturanga to upward dog. And we'll meet in down dog. You can always skip the transition. You can take a rest, grab some water. Take your time. Awesome work. When you're ready, we'll start to set up our lunge on the other side. So we'll step the left foot forward. Again, your choice how you get there. If you want to come from three-legged dog or from tabletop. Starting with the knee down, back knee down. Starting to find some nice sensation in the right hip flexor, left hamstring. Maybe a little forward and backward movement. Find your breath. When you're ready, starting to straighten through the leg, walking the hands back. And your choice if you are staying bowed forward or if you want to raise the upper body up. You can find stillness. You can explore through movement in the right foot, pointing and flexing, or dialing the toes in and out. If you'd like to explore a different sensation, bringing the right hand over towards the left side of the leg. And noticing if that switches up the sensation for you. If it feels good or not, you can always take other options. As you feel ready, if you were kind of bent over to one side, bringing the right hand back towards the right. And then starting to bring the left hand to the inside of the left leg. And starting to walk over towards the right side of your mat. Pivoting the foot down. Kickstanding through the right foot. Finding our extended legged, maybe child's pose or puppy pose. Again, your choice if you want to bow down, if you want to release the hands or the forearms towards the ground or blocks, or if you'd like to hover the arms, strengthening through the core. Feeling into the opening in the hip, the stretch in the inner left thigh, and any other activation that you feel here. Breathe into it. Using your discernment to kind of play with your edge if you are choosing to do so. You are welcome to stay in your comfort zone if that is what will serve you best. If you are wanting to play with that edge, we still want to be mindful
so that we can step out of the comfort zone into the growth zone, but not so far that we go into overwhelm, where we could create injury or harm. Awesome work. As you feel ready, rising up, coming back to our low lunge with the left foot forward, so traveling towards the front of the mat, realigning through the legs, revisiting our lunge with the knee down or choosing to lift the back knee up, rooting towards the feet, finding strength, engaging in the core, starting to hover through the hands, coming up nice and slow, starting with that lengthening through the spine, chest hovering. Hands could dangle, they could come to the knee for support, they could start to reach out or up. Choosing if you'd like to stay with an extended spine or maybe working with a little back bending, raising the heart up. If you start to feel any tension in the low back, you can always bend that back knee to release some of that. And if it would feel good here, reaching the arms up. Maybe the hands interlace and come behind the head. You could press the head back and open up. You're welcome to stay here. Or if you'd like, maybe starting to drop the left elbow down, getting a little deeper into the right hip flexor. Finding your breath. Hands could stay here, they could start to reach out. Nice work. When you're ready, coming back to neutral with the spine, releasing the hands, folding forward, planting the hands down, drawing the foot back, coming into plank, lowering the knees into half plank if you'd like. Again, we'll make our way to downward dog. Your choice if you'd like to take a push-up, back bend option, whatever works best for you. Again, belly to cobra, tabletop to cat-cow, chaturanga to upward dog. Coming through upward dog, and as you feel ready, nice and slow, lowering the knees back down. Choosing to leave the knees where they are, or you could take them out wide, big toes to touch, and then lowering the head and chest down into either a puppy pose or sending the hips back for a child's pose. Connecting to your breath. Awesome work. As you feel ready, we'll come back up through tabletop and we'll make our way into a seated position. So have some space back behind you to lie back. We're going to play with just a little bit of core strengthening before we take it down to the ground. So finding a connection to your sits bones, lengthening through the crown of the head. Your choice if the knees are bent or if you want to have them straight. Hands could also be on the legs, they could be on the ground, or they could reach out for more of a challenge. We're going to inhale to lengthen through the crown of the head, draw the belly in. On your exhale, we'll start to lean back and just come about a third of the way down. And then from the strength in the core, raise back up. Awesome work. And exhale, lowering down about halfway. Working with your own range of motion. And inhale, come back up. Ooh. Awesome work. Exhale, lean it back. Maybe going a little further, maybe 3/4 of the way down. Ooh, feeling that. And come back up. Awesome work. This round we're going all the way down, keeping the spine as straight as you can for as long as you can.
But when you get to the point that you need to start to round out in the low back, ooh, embrace any shaking going on. I definitely got some of that. Taking as much time as you like to get down to the ground. When you release the head and shoulders, stretch the arms overhead, stretch out through the legs. Nice big good morning stretch. When you feel ready, bending the knees and then drawing the knees in towards the chest. Maybe a little tuck through the tailbone. You could rock side to side. You could circle through the knees, pressing the low back into the mat. With the right hand on the right knee, left hand on the left knee, we'll take a reclined frog pose, starting to open up the knees. You could flex the toes back. You can use the hands for some gentle leverage, nothing forceful here, but if finding a little more would be beneficial. You could stay here or take it into a happy baby. Knees bend in towards the armpits, feet come up towards the sky. You could grab behind the knees, up the legs, or on the outer edges of the feet. You can use the hands, again, as gentle leverage to drive the knees down towards the armpits. Noticing if some rocking side to side would feel good here. Maybe extending out one leg and then the other, just envisioning a little happy baby here, discovering its toes, its legs, the joy of just rolling around on the ground. And when you feel ready, releasing the legs and extending them up towards the sky. The knees can be nice and soft, or they could be bent as much as you'd like. Maybe spreading out through the toes or pointing and flexing through the feet. You could roll out through the ankles. And then just to get really weird with it, let's reach the arms up towards the sky, finding a dead bug. And then here, start to shake through the legs, shake through the arms. Let that reverberate into shaking in the body. This is great for the nervous system. This is a fantastic release. Let it get awkward, let it jiggle, shake it out. A little longer than feels natural. And then keeping the legs extended and the arms extended. When you feel ready, pause and just feel that energy. As you feel ready, releasing the arms down, bending in the knees, releasing the feet towards the earth. Taking the feet a little wider than hip distance and take another round of windshield wipers, knees dropping from side to side. When you're ready, we'll settle into a twist, so you can just let the knees drop to the right. If the orientation of the legs doesn't feel good, feel free to readjust. The knees could hover, they could find the ground, they could land on a prop. You could also slide a prop between the knees. A more gentle option for the twist will be raising the left shoulder off the ground, coming a little more onto the right side body. A little more depth will be inviting the left shoulder towards the earth. It doesn't need to touch. You could also extend the left arm out towards the left or take the gaze to the left. But know that we don't need to go crazy deep into twists. We don't need to wring ourselves out or detox our organs. We just want to be able to have a functional range of motion in the spine. As you feel ready, starting to unwind, coming back onto the back. If there's any movements you want to take between sides, feel free. And whenever you're ready, setting up your twist on the other side. Again, you can just drop the knees over towards the left. You could set the legs up in a different orientation. Doesn't have to be the same shape or even the same experience as on the first side. Honoring whatever's going on in the body. And you can play with the positioning of the right shoulder, with the gaze. Bring in the use of props, whatever can support you in this shape on this side. Whenever you start to feel complete here, no rush. Gently unwinding, untwisting, taking any movements that would feel good here. We'll set up a reclined cobbler's pose with the knees bent, bringing the bottoms of the feet to touch and let the knees drop open. You can always slide props underneath the knees to help support you. Arms could be out into a T, into goalposts, opening up through the heart. You can even find a little tucking of the shoulder blades behind the heart if you want to get a little more opening there. But you could also invite in more grounding or containment if that would serve you better here by bringing both hands to the belly. You could do one hand to the heart, one hand to the belly, or even crossing the arms over the body, grabbing opposite elbows, biceps, or shoulders. So whatever feels safest in your body, whatever would serve you best here. And this will be the last shape that I guide us into. You're welcome to stay here as long as you'd like. We'll eventually transition into Shavasana, or our final relaxation. It could be this pose, but we do have plenty of time, so I want to give you a few extra moments to explore if there's any final movements, anything the body's craving, anything we didn't get to, or anything you want to revisit. Take as much time as you'd like to do anything that'll wrap up your physical practice. And if you're ready for Shavasana, go ahead and take it. You'll just get an extra long one, which I am very much a fan of.
when you are ready to find your final relaxation, could be traditional corpse pose on the back. You're welcome to use props to support you in any way. But if it doesn't feel great to be on the back, you're welcome to lie on your side or lie on your belly. Getting into any shape that you feel like you could surrender to. We're given this opportunity at the end of every yoga practice to practice surrender. Which can be very challenging for us to do as humans. We like to feel in control, even if it's an illusion of control. Our journey on our mat mirrors our journey off the mat. And just like our physical practice, most often the times in our lives when surrender would serve us best comes after effort, intention, after we've invested our power, our energy, our strength, our time into something. And the only thing that is left to do is to let all of that work that we've just put in start to go to work for us. To put our faith and our trust into the work that we've already done. And then surrendering to what is. Surrender also takes an acceptance of the things we cannot change, and an acceptance of accountability for the things that we can. And while this is viewed by many as the most challenging and beneficial pose of all the yoga poses, the good news is we don't have to do anything. In fact, doing is the opposite of surrender. So in this moment that we get to practice surrender, we just get to be. The challenge is doing it with mindfulness, doing it with presence. No, it's okay if you fall asleep, if the mind wanders, if you're planning on what you're having for dinner tonight. But utilize this time to be here fully, to surrender to this moment, to surrender to what is right now, because we have the wisdom to know that that will change. So give yourself the gift of this time to just be. taking one last moment to check in, to honor the journey you've been on and acknowledge any effects of your mindful practice, knowing that nothing is supposed to happen and nothing is not supposed to happen. And slowly, slowly bringing movement back into the body. Perhaps inviting in a deep inhale and a nice long exhale. And eventually making it onto one side of your body, if not already there. And pausing wherever you find yourself to just offer yourself a moment of gratitude for carving out this time, for stepping on your mat, and for your willingness to do the work to tend to the mind, the body, and the self. As you feel ready, coming up to a comfortable seated position. I'll invite you to take any meaningful gesture with the hands to symbolize the ending of your practice. Thank you so much for showing up, for sharing your practice, your presence, and your energy with me, and for your trust in allowing me to share the magic of yoga with you. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day and a terrific week. I see you, I honor you, and I bow to you. Namaste. Thank you so much, my friends. Let me know if you have any questions or if you want to chat about anything that came up. I'm always here to support you in your journey. And yeah, take care of yourselves. Hope to see you again soon. Oh yeah, these guys. Thank you to all of you live. I left a link to my Venmo if you would like to donate. Take care. I'll see you next time.